cybersecurity with a strong background in telecommunication industry. He has led multiple enterprise scale projects ensuring secure network infrastructure, compliance with security standards, and seamless integration of advanced technologies. His expertise covers technical project management, which he'll be teaching us all today, network engineering, and security best practices. And with that, I'd like to officially begin the session and hand it over to Mr. Parvizi to share his insights with us.
Okay, thank you, Apurva. I'm very happy to be here. Actually, I'm not a very good lecturer. As you mentioned, I'm an engineer and I'm more on the technical side of things, but it's a very great experience for me to be here with you guys and um having received your invitation. So actually, I used to do some teaching around 7, 8 years ago, and it was good old times. But now, since 6, 7 years, I haven't been in such a environment, and it's very exciting for me to be here. And I try to share it as far as I can, as far as time lets us. I'm trying to share a bit of my technical experience and the practical side of project management and how it's used in industry. I try to just give a view to the students, and I hope it's helpful and it can help them a little bit uh, have a view on what's going on in the industry right now. So before we start, I would like to ask everyone to tell me what they think about technical project management, and what is the first thing that comes to their mind when they hear that term technical project management, especially in compared to normal project management, or it's also called traditional project management. So you can share your views in chat, or you can just use your microphone, activate your microphone. So someone says, Matthew says software engineering. Doris says project manager who also knows programming or knows at least programming languages. Okay. Interesting. Anyone else?
I can go actually.
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
So the first one will be, I mean, the technical one will be a project manager. They interact mostly with the engineer team, so he understand more. He does understand the technical part, and instead the second one will be a project manager, which can also be technical, but is interface mostly with the business. So it doesn't have really to understand the technicalities of the different projects.
Yeah, that's a good answer. And what does Alexandru says? I'm thinking of an ex-programmer who transitioned to project manager. He both codes and manages a project. That's also an interesting view. Yeah, as people get older, it's going to be more and more difficult to do coding, maybe, you think. Some people have this idea and they try to move to management positions or project management position. Yeah, some people have this view, but I should say we also have, at least in the companies that I have worked, we also had some colleagues that were in their 60s, 50s, and they were still hands-on coding. I'm also thinking, Richmond says, I'm also thinking of a PM who has knowledge and know-how of the technicalities of a project. Yeah. So actually, all the answers were right. Some of them were more complete. Uh, but so it's you also you all have a good idea of what's going on. So let me share my screen and start my presentation. I will try to share my view about this. And okay, so yeah, okay. So you see my screen right now? Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, today is the 2nd of March, and my name is Mohammadreza Parvizi, as mentioned. And today we're going to discuss technical project management. Um, if you want, feel free to follow me on LinkedIn if I can help you. Let's go to the next slide. That's me. And as someone already mentioned in the chat, I was an engineer, but not a software engineer. I was electrical and electronics engineer in my bachelor, and in my master's, I studied telecommunication engineering. So, as I said, the technical project management does not have to be only software engineering. It can be, for example, network engineering, security engineering, software engineering, and a lot of other things as well. So uh, I what I do for a living is I work as a network and cybersecurity engineer since year 2018, and I have been working in the telecommunication industry. I'm based in Germany, and I have worked as a technical project manager in IT projects. So what I mean by that, that means I'm not a full-time technical project manager. So I'm doing operations, but so uh, as part of my duties, I need to manage the projects that are new in our field. So imagine a big company, a telecommunication company. In every country, there are at least two, three of these companies. So in these companies, normally you see two type of project management. So there is a project management team with the people who have studied management, industrial engineering, and things like this. And they are not very uh, IT oriented, or they are not technical. They are just project managers who are very well disciplined and who can manage, report, and reach the goals of a project. But for some of the things that are more technical and they are more critical for the company prefers to assign one of the experts of the field as project manager, as part-time project management, not as the main job. So they will take care of a project and they will stay by the project. And yeah, they do their operation job. So they just work 20 to 30% of their time in this field. So that's what I have been doing in the last 6 years at least. So um, before we start, um, before we start speaking about technical side of project management, I want to give a brief introduction about the field I have started working. Maybe it's interesting for one of you, and he or she wants to get deeper in this field. So I started my work in the field of network security. Before we can define network security. We need to see what's the meaning of networking. So right now, every company has an enterprise network. So it doesn't matter anymore that if it's a IT company or if it's selling coffee or medical instrument. They have a huge network right now because the digitalization is becoming a huge part of every single industry. So think about a lot of network nodes consists of laptops, PCs, printers, servers, compute resources, storage resources, and all these things need to be connected to each other and need to communicate with each other. And this science is right now called networking. And as I said, it's very on demand. Right now, it's very asked. So the key considerations in projects that are raising in this field is that imagine that you have a network of hundreds or thousands of connected nodes, and you want to run a project here. You want to change a firewall. You want to migrate to a new version. The firewall is out of support, out of date. You want to change it, and you don't want to have a lot of downtime. So it's not as easy as it sounds. So you need to have a project for it. You need to have a project team. You need to plan it, how you're going to do it. So yeah, one of the components here is that you don't want to lose availability. You want to have your system up and running, and at the same time, you want to move to the more updated versions or chassis of devices and things like that. So examples of a network project is implementing, for example, a larger scale network for a new company, or moving the on-premise resources in data center to the cloud, or as I said, migrating from older version to new version. These are all uh, examples of network engineering. Or, for example, the last project that we are busy with, for example, we are changing our wireless LAN from an old version to the new version. That can be a project with the minimum downtime possible. Um, so now we get to network security engineering. So now that we talked about networking, as the simplest way that we could describe it is connecting multiple nodes. So network security is probably gonna mean connecting these nodes securely and making sure that the confidentiality, integrity, and availability are there in the networking. So yeah, um, there are several topics here. For example, architecture topics that you need to consider to have a secure network, devices like firewalls and things like that that can secure your network, and yeah, things like that. So one of the good examples of these projects is, for example, a compliance check in a enterprise network that can itself be a project that you get the approval from a standard organization that your network is secure. That's itself a project. You need to prepare some documents, you need to apply some measures, and you need to prove to the standard organization that your network is secure. That's interesting network security project. But of course, the normal ones like changing a firewall, moving to the new ones, adding a new service, and implementing new network security tools for it, and securing your networks with new measures can also be other projects. VPN gateways are also one of the hot topics right now. So yeah, now we can start. Now that we have a good background of what I'm doing and who am I, we can start with our topic directly. And what is project management? So the answers were really good. I would define it as managing technology-driven projects. So it is normally used for the projects that are more complicated and needs people who have more technical skills than only a project manager. So the responsibilities were also mentioned by someone who said that this person should not only understand the business side of the company and what's the needs of the business in a company, but he or she also needs to know what the technical side looks like. Is it a third party? What are the capabilities available, and what are the gaps, and what technologies are available? And he should communicate, and he should be a translator and sit between the business and the technical teams and make sure that they understand each other correctly. So, of course, the other abilities that a normal project manager has should also be available here, like resource management, time management, risk analysis, stakeholder management, communication, testing, and things like that. I have
Sorry, I think you're on mute. We lost you for a couple of seconds.
I was shortly disconnected. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Bye. Yeah. Now you hear me.
yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Okay. Good. So I was just mentioning that I want to dig a little bit deeper and get into each and every part of not each and every, but some part of project management, and see what is different between a technical PM and traditional PM. So the first one that I have seen here is the scope and complexity.
Sorry to
So,
interrupt you. Can you reshare your slides as well?
oh, you don't see it?
No.
Okay, wait. So do you see my screen right now?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, good. So, yeah, in terms of scope and complexity, so the expectation from a technical PM is to have a view of the available technologies on the market, innovations, and the changing requirements. And so, as a normal project management, they tell you implement this, you implement that. If it is outdated, so you say, I just did as ordered. But as technical, your responsibilities are more, and they expect you to know the advantages and disadvantages, and have a 0 to 100 view of how it's going to work, how it's going to integrate, and things like that. So stakeholders are in technical side are engineers, developers, IT teams, and security experts. But in the traditional point of view, it's mostly business manager, clients, and general teams. So they traditional PMs are also in contact with technical teams, but normally they have an interface between them. For example, imagine a third party wants to implement something in your company. So normally they introduce a project management manager themselves, and the traditional project management on your side is going to communicate with him and not directly with the technical team. That's normally how it's done nowadays. So as I said, the risk factors are the expectation is that you see the technology changes, security risks, and how you're going to integrate your system or device with the other part of the environment and things like that. However, the traditional part is more focused on the budget, availability, and schedule. So um, the other two that I have brought up for you is the dependencies. So yeah, you need to consider software, hardware, infrastructure, and all the integrations. But the normal PM is focused on process coordination and business needs. For the change management, you also need to uh, have a plan to update and to patch your service or device. Um, but the normal side is mostly focused on the structure of this change process and not the actual how-tos that it should be done. So um, in the real world, there are some challenges to the technical project management, so that there are some expectations that I have seen that it happens in the runtime of a project. Um, when the company sees that you have a good vision from 0 to 100 on the project, and the changing requirements are going to happen to you, and it's not a good thing, trust me. So they say that because you you are in the position to do some changes fast, and you know how it's done. So a lot of people are going to come to you, and in the middle of the project are going to ask you to change some requirements and do some changes in the projects and requirements. But it's good that you have the ability to do it as a technical person, but you should also keep in mind that you are still responsible for delivering the project on time and with the specified costs. So one of the negative experiences that I've done is being too flexible. If you try to be too flexible, uh, at some time you will realize that you are not going to make it. But interestingly enough, when the project manager is himself is not technical, they don't have this expectation. So they discuss the scope once and they gather the requirements, and he or she will take care of implementing it. So this expectation only happens when you are on the technical side. So the other part that is normally for the enterprise is the conflict. So as a human resource conflicts, I mean. So as I said, you are doing your operation job and you have daily tasks and you are also project manager. So imagine that, as I said, for example, in the field of networking or cybersecurity, you have a bunch of daily tasks that you should do, and it's not always the same. For example, when you are a security engineer, when there is a security incident in the company, you should work on that incident, and that has higher priority. When you are a network engineer, when a net or software engineer, where your software is not working, when your network router switch or anything is not working, you should focus on that. And it's going to be a little bit sometimes difficult to uh, make it on both sides and to manage between these two. So the other part of it is integrating with other part of the environment. That is also something that is very challenging for a manager, and to consider the all. You should, as I said, you should have a very good overview on the um, business and on the IT environment, I would say, so that you can see the risks, you can see the scalability. Do you need to expand this service or this software in the future? And what possible risks are there? So these are the things that you are expected to know and to consider in the lifetime of your project. So some other challenges about the requirement I've already explained. Yeah, about I would like to explain something about the skill gaps. So should also consider the resources that you have, the solutions that you are suggesting, and can sometimes um, be can sometimes not match the resources and the skills that are available in your organization. So it's also very important to consider that. And I already talked about the infrastructure and scalability. Yeah, so we go forward. So right now I want to um, give something like a case study, successful one and unsuccessful one, and we can see what happens that a project project succeeds and the other one not, and what can be done here, and how far are these things in our control. And yeah, so one of the projects that I did and was very successful was during the Corona pandemic, and I was working that time at a company, and we needed to expand our um, re remote workers. So actually, we had 300 remote workers at that time, and we needed to expand it in a a very short time to 4 to 5,000 remote workers. So for the ones who may not know that before the corona pandemic, in a lot of countries, it was not normal to do home office or to um, do remote working. But yeah, in the corona, everyone was forced to do it, and after that, it became a culture that right now not every, but 90% of employees expect that they should be able to do at least 3 to 4 days of home office in a week. And it's in companies have become the culture, and it's very normal. So one of the challenges that arose in this time is that so the colleagues needed to access the network, and the secure way to do it was through the VPN gateways. So the gateways were designed for some specific use cases before this time, but it needed to change. And so in the new culture, every single employee needed to have access to the network from his or her home. So this needed massive expansion projects in background. So yeah, as I said, um, this pro we so that what was the challenge of this project? So the challenge of this project was to optimize the costs and at the same time um, have the least possible downtime in the project. Yeah. So how it was done is we had a gateway, and we didn't want to have a lot of downtime. So um, it was the plan. It was planned that we implement two new gateways parallel to the old ones with um, more capacity than the other one, and with high availability. So the old one was maintained, and the new ones were implemented. And the traffic was in one night after the working hours moved to the new ones. So and the cost optimization was that the old one was used as a disaster recovery method. So it was in another data center, and the new ones were in another data center, so that the traffic could flow smoothly. Even when there is a disaster, this old one could be used as a way to reach the network. So with this innovative design, we could make our network more resilient, and at the same time, um, we could save cost, and we could, in the time of crisis, Corona crisis, we could make sure that the business runs and it's not stopped. So the lesson learned from this is that it is sometimes worth to invest some time in the study phase of the project, and to do some brainstorming and to find the best possible solution instead of just taking the first solution. And yeah, that was all about this. So let's go to the next one. That was a failed one. So this one was um, imagine a security appliance for that is going to be responsible for the authentication to a network. We wanted to deploy it, And imagine a network that is consists of a lot of devices, servers, telecommunication nodes, firewalls, switches, routers, and from different manufacturers. So we wanted to have a central point of authentication for all these devices. And so we did the tender, and some companies have shown up and presented their tools. And uh, so actually, we had the scope, and we presented the scope that it should be able to be integrated with these tools. They confirm, all the companies that passed this phase confirm that they can integrate. However, in practice, what happened is after that, the company that won the tender and started the implementation uh, did not manage to integrate with all types of manufacturers, and it was running very slow. And at some point in the project, the company decided to stop the project. So it's the what I learned from this project is that you shouldn't trust what is presented to you in technology, in terms of technology. You should find ways to do proof of concepts before getting into doing it. Of course, they didn't receive the money for doing the project, but actually it ended up costing our team a lot of time, and that was difficult. I'm not working there. I don't know how much penalty they have received for failing the project, but this was also one experience that I had. Um, there are also some other things that I want to point out. So, as a technical focused person, you think that sometimes you forget that know how important the project management skills are. So I have seen that people miss on communication with stakeholders because they get overconfidence and they say, okay, I know how this solution is working from 0 to 100, and they really do know, and they implement it in the way that they think it's correct. But think about it, that the person who is going to use it might not have the same idea as you as a project manager, and he may find it the user journey or the interactions might not be good for him or her. So and in fact, maybe your product is not bad and it's working fine, but it will cause some resistance in the implementation phase. So as you move your product to the production, and people who have the feeling that they should have been involved in the uh, course of the thing, and they were put out, they will start to show some resistance using it. I have experienced it. Just try to involve the stakeholders. Uh, when the people see that they are involved and they are asked for ideas and involved in discussions, they are going to cooperate a lot more with the project manager. So uh, the other thing that I wanted to mention that I find extremely important is the role of project manager in I mean both of them, technical or non-technical. I have also worked in some projects where I was not the project manager. I was for example, administrator or programmer or things like that. So the thing that happened is that we had a change in project management level, and after this change, so the definition that these two project managers had from the architecture, from the duties of the people and responsibilities was absolutely different. And it led to some gaps in the course of the project that, for example, the previous manager was involved in the architecture. The new one thought that it's the responsibility of the architect to do that. So it is very difficult, I think, to change a project manager. What I can advise here is that if do not change the manager if possible. If you do need to change the project manager, make sure that you have a very good handover process to make sure that these two managers are on the same page and they understand everything that the previous one, the new one understands what the previous one has done. And yeah, they find ways to continue. Because, in the industry, it happens a lot. It's normal that people work 2, 3 years, 4 years in one company and move to another company. So they need to hand over all the projects they have. So it's something that happens a lot. Yeah, I already spoke about how important is it to implement a proof of concept. If possible, always ask to have a proof of concept, and yeah, if it's a software project, for example, make sure you have a development environment test and a production environment that are separate from each other. If it's a network and infrastructure project, make sure you have a lab and you can test your scenarios before implementing them. And yeah. So the other thing that also, these are all painful experiences that I'm trying to share, is about the testing plans. So imagine you as a project manager, you gather the requirements, you communicate with technical teams and business, and they develop it. And in the testing phase, it's something that is normally underestimated. And you test a lot of scenarios yourself and try to make sure that everything is working fine. But maybe you as a technical person and a normal user have different ideas about how it should work. So try to ask the actual user to test it and to give you feedback. And if there are several groups of users, try asking every one of them to test it and give a feedback. So I have seen projects that the user needed to do, for example, 2 more clicks than his normal job, and he or she said that no, it's going to make my job more complicated. The previous one was more comfortable for me, and So it led to some resistance against the implementation of projects. So it's better to have the test done by the actual user. And yeah, don't forget the scaling. Think about it. It's right now a lot of IT companies are growing bigger and bigger, and you should. Not every product needs to scale, of course, but you need to consider it that does this infrastructure or product is going to need to scale one day or not. So the next one is let's see how much time we have. Yeah. The next one is risk management. Um, I already mentioned this topic in the previous slides. The expectation from a technical project manager is to do a lot more deeper study on the risk management and to see more aspects of risks and identify them and have mitigation plan. Yeah, as example, I have mentioned the risk management in cloud migration, everything that can happen, uh, including the configuration, migration, data loss, or leakage in migration. Everything should be considered. Um, so the other thing that is important is the communication. I said that I think in the beginning of the course, somebody had mentioned in the comments that the technical project management is more focused on the side of the interface between the project management and technical teams. So it can be true in some cases, but it's not always like it. For example, it can be that you are the only one managing the project and you should sit between the two sides and you should provide the balance between the business and the technical. So um, you should make sure that uh, they understand each other's language and you should also think of optimization. So here you have a huge advantage. You know how, for example, you can distribute tasks a lot more better than a project manager who doesn't have a view of how much this task is going to cost, and you have a better overview of these things, um, and the things are going to be extremely fast. I have seen this in a lot of companies. If you do it well, it makes a huge difference. When you receive the requirements from the side of business, it's very easy to translate for a technical person to technical team than it is to a normal person who doesn't have expertise. Uh, he needs to sit with a lot of people to find out how complicated it is, but a technical person who has experience can simply uh, accelerate the workflow. So the other thing that is right now where I'm working in telecom or any other enterprise is measurement, measuring success, and not only success, failure, reasons. So it is like a lot of projects that are implemented need to be maintained or need to be expanded, need to be optimized. And yes, I know that project in the definition of project, it should be in a limited time defined, and um, it, it shouldn't be running always, but yeah, you can in practice what is happening is that it can be defined as new projects. For example, once you have the project of implementing of something or developing something, then you have the expansion project for that. So it is very important to try to document things, to try to see what went wrong and what went right in the first phase, so that the next person who is going to continue and going to optimize this solution has a view on how uh, he or she should continue and where it can be done better and what are the chances of optimization. So you learn from your mistakes. Um, Actually, I have seen some successful project managers that after the projects, they invite every member of the project in, and they sit together and they uh, just open an Excel sheet, normal or Word sheet, and they write what went right and what went wrong, and they document it and put it on a shared resource, and everybody can read this. And yeah, it's a good way of sharing knowledge. It can be also containing some technical terms that is specific to a solution or to an infrastructure, and these are because at the end, every company has its own dependencies and topology and things like that, and these things cannot be found uh, on the internet. Yeah, you need to have the local knowledge on the environment to be able to yeah optimize things in this environment. So I just wanted to uh, introduce some of the tools that we are using right now, and probably many of you are familiar with it, but if you are planning to move to project management as a technical person or as a manager, you should consider having some studies on these and working with these hands-on and having more information on this. So if somebody is interested to do some more hands-on or to do some more readings, I would recommend to yeah to get familiar with this. Of course, communication Slack, Microsoft Teams is there's nothing to study there. It's normal. Jenkins and GitHub are important things that I right now used. And Jenkins is more used in the DevOps pipelines. GitHub, but is a very wide use thing that you are mostly as computer engineers familiar with. Jira, Trello, ServiceNow, these things are for the distribution of the task in a project. So that the methodologies of doing the projects that I have worked in, I have also listed. And so with this, we come to the end of our presentation. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for hearing. I hope that it has been informative for you. I think we have still a little bit time, so if you got questions, or if you think that I can help you in a way, please feel free to ask your questions. You can also connect with me in LinkedIn and try to apply these things in your project management and see what happens. Thank you all. I will stop the sharing, and then I look at the chat, and if anyone wants to share the microphone to talk, just feel free. So, okay. So,
I think we have a couple of questions in the comments.
yeah. So, Alexandru sent us a lot of questions. So, these are enough. So, please, no more. So, how do you easily switch from a technical background to a technical PM? Is there anything that you should have to give you an advantage? Very good question. So, what can give you an advantage? So you are a technical person who is expert in a field. What can give you an advantage is your knowledge about the other part of the company. For example, you are a security engineer, but you want to work as project manager. What can help you is your knowledge about other part of the network and other part of the companies, other teams, how they work, with whom you should speak, who can do what. And it is interesting. I believe it's two sides. You need to have a good communication and soft skills, and at the same time, good technical knowledge on other part of the company. So I believe that the people who are who want or are very deeply focused on one thing cannot be very good project managers. For example, I say I am only expert in Fortinet firewalls, and I know every details about them. It's not going to be enough for project management. I need to know a lot about the integration, think about all the integration methods, and how to connect two different things to each other. And so I hope it was good enough. How deep should your knowledge be before considering a switch? Uh, in a classic in the classic method, it was like you would start with, for example, pure technical things, for example, from network administration or a server administration, programming, and then you would switch to either architecture or project management. But I have seen people who haven't gone this route and they jump directly in the architecture. So I think it is also the matter of talent. Some people have better overview of things, and they don't like details, but they like to see the big pictures. I think these people can be better in these fields. So yeah. The next one, RPM certificate is less important for it. Yes, actually, this is true. Project management certificate. Actually, certificates are always nice to have. So if you have these certificates and you go to a project and someone says you are doing something wrong, you show your certificate and you say that I'm certified in this, and I say it's right, and it's really effective from my point of view. And for getting new jobs, it's also an advantage, but it's never decisive for getting a job. Or yeah, for technical, it's even less effective. Yeah. So are there certain types of companies, businesses that have a higher need for technical PMs than other types of companies? So honestly, I haven't worked in a lot of industries. I have always been in telecommunication companies. Um, but my understanding is the bigger the environment and the more complicated the environment and the more are the number of the integrations. So the more projects you need to define. Yeah. So it's dependent on the scale of the company. From my point of view, the scale, not the number of the employees, but uh, how complicated is the environment, the IT environment of the company. Yeah, we are all coming from IT background. That's why giving the IT as an example. The next one, what's usually the hardest part of being a technical PM compared to? I believe, as I said, they expect you to be a lot flexible because they think that you are a project manager and you know how to do things, and they expect you to do everything. You should be, as I said, you should be very careful about your budget and time, and just don't accept every change because you want to show you can do it. You may get into trouble. How big of an issue is it if you want to be fully remote right from the start? Actually, I'm in Germany right now, so I don't know about every country. I have also information about Netherlands. So actually, 100% remote is it's not impossible to find, but you will have very limited chances. But right now, there are companies that say that you should come once a month or once a season. That means every 3 months. So these companies are being more and more. They want to just make sure that you are in EU or you are in the country, and they want to see you every now and then. Uh, but yeah, I would say it depends on the field you are working. For example, on my field, security and network, they prefer that you are in the office or in the country all the time. But in software development, you are not connected directly to the environment. You don't have a lot of access. You can develop your tool yourself and then test it and integrate it. So you have more freedom. Uh, it's depending on a lot of factors, the country, how mature is the remote working culture, and your field. But in any case, when you are looking only for remote, you should consider that your options are going to be more limited. So you have to be better to convince the companies to employ you, even though you are not going to be make it on site there. Yeah. So I think it's thank you, Alexandru. I try to answer your questions. So the next one, Loris says, what do you think are the most common technical skills in general? Oh, good question. So I will assume that you are speaking about IT technical, because yeah, we can, for example, construction is also considered as technical. Yeah, IT. So I would say right now automation is considered as the most general, and by automation I mean automating some tasks and at the same time integrating different systems with each other to do this automation. For example, I am speaking about REST APIs and automation scripts like, yeah, as you say, Python. I meant exactly. So I would say, if I would say that the two things that you should absolutely know is going to be Python and REST APIs or APIs in general. SQL you can do and you can do without. Yeah, I would not say is the most essential one. A little bit knowledge of networking is also, I would say, as a third one, networking knowledge, because networking knowledge is the one that is going to show you how the nodes are connected to each other, in which zones they are, and how they communicate with each other. Python is going to give you the ability to automate some things, and APIs or integrations in general is going to give you the ability to connect different systems to each other. And right now, a lot of devices that didn't use APIs, like network devices, are realizing that they need to develop it, and they have done it already. The cloud is also based on these APIs. So yeah, I would definitely recommend to do it. So any more questions?
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Parvizi, for your time and for sharing your expertise with us today. We really appreciate it, the insights you have shared. Since we seem to have no further question, I would give a couple more seconds in case anyone wants to unmute and ask any questions. Okay, well, in that case, thanks again for joining us. It was truly an honor to have you with us today. With that, I thank everyone for your participation as well, and I'll close this session now. Have a great day, everyone.